Morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing really well. It is day 2 of my daily vlogs, which I'm sharing with you guys every day this week, so from Monday to Friday, all of the behind the scenes of what I do as a teacher in the UK. If you don't know, my name is Sofia. I'm a secondary school science teacher in London, and I've decided to just give you a little bit of an idea of what teachers do in the UK. So I'm going to be talking about lesson planning, marking, admin, and everything else that is happening. So if you haven't subscribed, then make sure that you've subscribed by pressing the button below. And I'm also going to be doing a Q&A later on in this week. So if you've got questions about teaching or about anything else to do with my teaching life and experience and, you know, advice or tips, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below, and I will try my best to answer as many as I can. So the sun has just come out and that is good news to me. I'm going to try to go for a run today, hopefully after my second live lesson, just to get a little bit of fresh air and just enjoy the outside. And then that might mean that I might need to work a little bit later into the evening, which is not a problem because I like to have that flexibility working from home. So it's actually just gone 12 o'clock. I started my workday just before 9 o'clock in the morning, and I have already taught a live lesson to year 11, which was all right. I think you saw a little bit of that lesson planning that I did yesterday. It was the one to do with genetic engineering and selective breeding, and they only pretty much got through half of that lesson. And I had a handful of students who weren't very engaged, so I've just had to do a little bit of chasing and admin to do with that in terms of contacting home and logging some negative sims. But on the whole though, the rest of the students were really engaged, and I got some, you know, really good engagement from them in terms of what they were answering on Pear Deck, which I love to go through that feedback with them. Apart from that, this morning I have already answered emails and done some other admin work, and then I've also spent a good, you know, maybe hour or hour and a half doing some marking. So I thought I will just share with you guys now the rest of my day, what I've got planned, and also share with you how I do the marking online from home without actually having, you know, papers to mark. Okay, so here's Tuesday. I wrote this list yesterday evening, just so I could wake up this morning with a bit of an idea of what I wanted to do. I didn't really get a chance to do that marking as I had planned yesterday, so I've done that this morning. And with that, I realised that I needed to perfect the mark scheme, so I'll show that to you in a little moment. I then have to plan Wednesday's lessons and then do the marking for these other 2 classes. And I also have some tutor calls to make just to follow up with some of my tutees who have not been attending all of their live lessons, and teachers have raised some concerns, so I just want to chat to them and see what's going on and see if I can help them in any way. So Wednesday's lessons, I have 4 tomorrow, and actually a couple of them are year 13, so really I've only got 3 lessons. This year 11 lesson is the continuation of the one that I prepared yesterday, so that one is partly prepped, I just need to finish it. This one I actually delivered last week live to another year 10 class, so I just need to tweak that one. And then the year 13 lesson I need to prep pretty much from scratch, so I'm going to be spending about probably an hour doing that one, just because then it continues into Thursday and I want to make sure that that's prepared, you know, properly. I also have a meeting tomorrow, which means that there might be limited time to prep Thursday, so I'll see how I get on with this afternoon and if I need to catch up on some work for lesson planning for Thursday, so that doesn't have to be a focal point of tomorrow's tasks. It's also worth mentioning that my year 13s are doing their assessment tomorrow. I've actually scheduled them to start to do that today, so some of them will come through today, just to help me, you know, spread out that marking. If I can tackle a few today or tomorrow morning, I will start to do that as well. Just going to show you how I've asked my students to do an assessment, an informal piece of work on Google Classroom. So the first thing is I've made a document for them to be able to edit, and I need to make sure that this section says each student will get a copy. You can select that option by just doing the drop down menu when you attach it. And then the key thing is that that question I've asked them to do is a 6 marker. So where it says the number of points, I'm changing that to 6 marks. So this is the example of what my students can then do. They open their own copy of the question of that Word document I attached. They write their answer in the Word document and then they save it, and then what I will be able to do is write on the document and in this case I've just written some feedback in this format, so the total number of marks, what went well, and then even better if. But for some students I've actually highlighted and I've written comments for some of the answers that have been a little bit, you know, more extensive than this one. And then what I do is on the side where it says the number of marks, I will then just add that number, and then I will return this to the students, so then they will be able to see how many marks they got in total just at a glance. So actually looking at the mark scheme for this question, we realised it was very, very vague. So we were just having a discussion through emails of how to improve that mark scheme. So we've decided to go for this arrangement, so tiering them in levels 1 to 3 as normal, so 1 to 2 marks, then 3 to 4, and then 5 to 6. And then we've just come up with this criteria just to make sure that the marking that we're doing for each class is, you know, fair to the students and everyone's doing it in the same way. So this is something I had to quickly decide this morning before actually tackling those questions. Now, to give you an idea, this is what the mark scheme looked like before. So a big difference, and then hopefully with that, you know, more prescriptive, clear guidelines in that mark scheme, it's going to make it much more meaningful for students to, you know, get the right marks, but also to get the right feedback.
Miss, could you go through the cell cycle with her?
Yeah, let me just give me just 1 minute. That's okay, give me just 1 minute so I can just bring it up so I can share with you. Okay, right guys, so let's just quickly go back over the mitosis stages before you answer some of those questions. So firstly, who can remember what mitosis is? What is mitosis? I thought I would just update you on how my day's been going. So it's currently 3:30. I obviously had a bit of a lunch break earlier, and I've also sort of moved around a little bit, but I have just finished making some tutor calls today. So that's part of my pastoral responsibility, to check in with my tutees and just check if they are able to cope well with the work and if they've been keeping to routines, etc. So I actually prioritized 2 of my tutee students who have been struggling with live lessons. I just got off the phone with one of them who had, you know, over 50 missing pieces of work, and I just helped her problem solve exactly what she needs to prioritize, if she's actually done those pieces of work but just forgot to hand them in. So a little bit of troubleshooting. It looks a little bit like that, sort of my notes. And yeah, so after having spent about an hour on those calls, I still have my year 13 lesson to prep, but I'm going to do that a little bit later in the evening. And I still have about 6 to 8 pieces of work to mark from one of the year 10 classes. So I'm also going to do that a little bit later in the evening. For now, I'm just actually going to go for a bit of a run and then sort of like relax and do some house chores. And then I will probably continue doing some work at about 5 o'clock, maybe 5:30, maybe for 2 hours, I think, before dinner. So that's sort of the structure of the rest of the evening, just to let you know how that's going to go.